Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be always with you. Welcome to Global Right Path. I am Irshad Mahmood from Toronto, Canada. Topic is global politics. Islam is a complete system of life, and politics is one of its key parts. Leaving a glass empty, air will be filled automatically, or someone else will fill it with junk drinks. Always keep it filled with clean water. Same concept applies for politics. By leaving it empty, others will grab it and do not do just in the land. While Quran directs us to do true justice and declares all those who do unjust as disbelievers. Reference Al Quran, chapter 5, verse 44 to 47. Islamic political system is based on following main principles. Number one, sovereignty of Allah. In Islam, Allah is the sovereignty source of all powers and laws. Reference Al Quran, chapter 3, verse 154, chapter 12, verse 40, chapter 25, verse 2, chapter 67, verse 1. Number two, appointing leaders. People must appoint their leaders through election, selection, shura, etc., who they think will do true justice in the land. Otherwise, they will be questioned on the day of judgment. Leaders must make sure that each and every sex minorities must get their shares in a balanced way without any discrimination of religion, race, sex, color, gender, rich, poor, etc., including defense, public sector, which includes government and semi-government organizations. This is also a test for leaders, prime minister, president, khalifa, and kings, etc. And failing the test may put them in the category of disbelievers. Reference Al Quran, chapter 5, verse 44, verse 4 to verse 47. Leaders, prime ministers, president, khalifa, and king, etc., should not get big, huge salaries, allowances. Rather, they should get for their basic needs to fulfill their duties to serve their citizens on non-profit basis. The moment government will reduce the income benefits for leaders, members of parliament, ministers, prime ministers, and presidents, etc., and take away any unnecessary power from them other than to other than to serve the humanity, you will sure see greedy people will run away from the political race and good pious people will come forward. Election selection system must be categorized professionally. For details, read my articles, Professional Election and Islamic Election. Remember, a ruler is a servant, not a king. He establishes Allah's laws according to the Quran to serve humanity in a balanced way. Reference Al Quran, chapter 24, verse 55, chapter 22, verse 41. People may label them who are unjust as Mr. 10% for taking bribes or Mr. 100% due to their unjust existence in the defense. Law and order enforcement authorities, other public sectors which includes government and semi-government organization, etc., which is a crime against humanity, and on the day of judgment, Allah may label them as disbelievers, unjust, cruel, fasik, etc., and put them in the hellfire forever. Reference Al Quran, chapter 5, verse 44 to 47. Youngers must learn basic brief history from their elders, as well as elders must teach brief history to their youngers. Like many Muslims teach their kids about Hussein and Hassan every year. Otherwise, they become history. As you have noticed, if a single Muslim does a crime, whole Muslim nation's community are being blamed for. Similarly, if a single crime is done by any other minorities, the whole minority people are being blamed for, while there is no check and balances for majority or those in power, which is true unjust. Those minorities who are being abused by majority or by those who are in power must report to United Nations Human Rights Commission, International Monetary Funds, etc. United Nations and International Monetary Fund must put economic sanction on such unjust countries till they fix their system by doing true justice among their own citizens so that there is no more second class citizen left over. However, for individual, they must provide some sort of basic help, which includes food, shelter, education, and health, etc., for their survivals. Number three, legislation. Islam teaches us to run a government to make legislation and decision which do not cross boundary limits ordained by Allah. Reference Al Quran, chapter 3, verse 59, chapter 42, verse 38. Commandments are not none but Allah. Reference Al Quran, chapter 6, verse 57. Leaders are representative of Allah for the implementation of Quranic laws. Reference Al Quran, chapter 2, verse 30, chapter 6, verse 165. Number 4, accountability of government. The Islamic political system makes the ruler and the government responsible for Allah alone. Make sure to do justice among people and must work for the welfare of the people according to the Quran and authentic Sunnah. An ordinary citizen of an Islamic state has the right to ask any question on any matter on to the ruler or the government. Number 5, independence of judiciary. Judiciary must be independent and fully capable of doing justice without any discrimination of religion, race, sex, colors, gender, rich and poor, executives, non-executives, etc., including defense and public sector, which includes government and semi-government organizations. Reference Al-Quran, chapter 4, verse 58, chapter 4, verse 135, chapter 5, verse 8. The ruler and the government have no right to interfere in the system of justice. Number 6, equality before law. The Islamic political system ensures equality for all citizens before the law without any discrimination of religion, race, sex, color, gender, rich, poor, executives, non-executive, etc., including defense, public sector, which includes government and semi-government organizations. Reference Al Quran, chapter 4, verse 58, chapter 4, verse 135, chapter 5, verse 8, chapter 49, verse 13. Number 7, Zakat tax system. It is government's duty to organize and get from the rich and feed the needy in a balanced way, in addition to fixing all related issues which are disturbing stability, and also it is individual's duty to pay the charity to the poor. Reference Al Quran, chapter 9, verse 58 to 60. Remember, world has enough to feed, but not greed. But few of the major issues which had disturbed the stability are interest-based system, alcohol, gambling, supply and demand system, and raise in salary by small percentage on which a special deep study is needed. Reference Al Quran, chapter 2, verse 278 to 279, chapter 2, 219. Number 8, freedom of speech. All citizens of the Islamic states shall enjoy freedom of belief, thought, conscience, and speech without hurting others in a balanced way. Every citizen shall be free to develop his potential, improve in his capacity, earn, and possesses. Number 9, duty of peoples. It is not only the duties of leaders, but also the duty of each and every person on appointing right ruler by election, selection, shura, etc. Otherwise, as you see, mischiefs in the land are rising. Reference Al Quran, chapter 4, verse 59. You must practically support those who remember Allah, desiring His goodwill. Reference Al Quran, chapter 18, verse 28. Allah never changes the conditions of a nation till their people, not their leader, changes themselves. Reference Al Quran, chapter 8, verse 52 to 53. Number 10, every nation has certain period to live. If you or your relatives or your friends or your wealth is more important than doing justice in the cause of Allah, then wait Allah's punishment. Reference Al Quran, chapter 9, verse 24. Every nation, for every nation there is an appointed time, and many have been destroyed by Allah due to their crime against humanity. For example, Qarun, Haman, Firaun, etc. Reference Al Quran, chapter 10, verse 49, chapter 28, verse 58, chapter 15, verse 5, chapter 23, verse 42 to 43, chapter 30, verse 9, chapter 40, verse 82 to 85. Remember, Allah never destroys good nations. Reference Al Quran, chapter 11, verse 116 to 117. Allah never changes the condition of a nation till their people, not their leaders, changes themselves. Reference Al Quran, chapter 8, verse 52 to 53. Non-practicing Muslims are like ass, donkey, carrying books. Reference Al Quran, verse 62 to verse 5. Chapter 62, verse 5. Suicide never allowed in Islam. Life is a lot more important than land. Reference Al Quran, chapter 4, verse 29. Killing of innocents never allowed in Islam. Reference Al Quran, chapter 17, verse 33. Chapter 60, verse 8. Unjust never allowed in Islam. Reference Al Quran, chapter 5, verse 44 to 47. No closed door meetings, no hidden secret agendas. Media must play all. Media must play full access. Media must have access to, must have full access to all meetings and agendas, and media must play a key role. Islam is based on truth and nothing but truth, and those who indulge in falsehood are not Muslim. Those Muslim countries which don't practice true justice with their own citizens, including minorities, they don't deserve to be called as Muslim countries or an Islamic Republic of Muslim countries. Reference Al Quran, chapter 5, verse 44 to 47. Repeatedly relying on same corrupt or incompetent person will not change the fortune of a nation. Do not even think to reappoint those who were failed to protect corruptions in the land. Thank you.